Hey guys, it's Claire, and I haven't done a sit-down video in a while, but I thought I would talk about my favorite books from 2025. I'm only going to be doing physical copies, so I have some honorable mentions I want to talk about that were audiobooks or that books that I do not own, and I don't have to show you, but all of the ones I'm going to be including, like for the actual ranking, in no particular order, are going to be physical books. I got my list of honorable mentions. The first one I want to talk about is Sunrise on the Reaping. I am a huge Hunger Games fan. I love that universe and I love watching people on YouTube dissect it and talk about it. And I think Sunrise on the Reaping is probably the best book of the series. I'm very interested to see what the movie does with Haymitch's character. My next honorable mention is Hillbilly Elegy by J.D. Vance. And this is going to be a controversial take, but I don't really care. I'm not trying to be politically correct here. I just think that his autobiography gives a really good insight into who he is as a person, and it's very interesting, and he did not grow rich or anything like that. So I definitely recommend for everybody to read it. The next one is Sociopath by Patrick Gagney. This was one of my book of the months and I am obsessed with it. Basically she was a diagnosed psychopath, but she doesn't have like the urge to hurt people or anything, but a lot of the things that she does are dangerous to herself. And she's had extensive therapy for years and became a doctor herself to be able to understand her diagnosis a little bit better, and she's had a great support system with her entire time, so I think it's really interesting. Then my last audiobook that I want to talk about, my last honorable mention, is Scarred by Clark Fredericks. You might know him from the Stephanie Sue channel. Basically he was molested as a child and then years later he murdered that man and ended up saving hundreds of little boys from him. Yeah, very powerful story. He's a great storyteller, and yeah, I mean, it's such a nuanced situation because murder is never okay, but there are some murders that can be justified, and obviously that situation was one of them. Yeah. Let's get into the physical books. I've got The Love Haters by Catherine Center. I ended up listening to this on Book of the Month, but for my birthday, Sarah got me a signed copy from one of the meet and greets that she went to. So I haven't even like opened this. Like she literally bookmarked it onto the autograph. What have I read by Catherine Center? I've read The Rom-Commers, Hello Stranger, and The Bodyguard. I have not read the rest of her books, but I really need to get on that. But I absolutely loved The Love Haters. It was my first glimpse into Catherine Center, and it did not disappoint. I think the main characters are so fun and they make Hutch so dreamy, but in like somewhat of a realistic way. Read. Then we have Fight Club by Chuck Palahniuk, and this is one of my favorite movies. I really love fucked up shit, and I think it's really cool to read the source material that a movie was based off of to kind of see what changed and what didn't change. And I just love Tyler Durden as an unreliable narrator. I think it's amazing. I think the movie did a really good job of sticking to the pacing and tone of the book. I thought it was very similar, but highly recommend. Then we have All the Mothers Hate Me by Sarah Harmon. I was reluctant going into this. I thought it was gonna be one of those like hip books, but it turned out to be really, really good. I did not expect it to be kind of a thriller mystery, but it kind of got there. But I feel like if I say anything about the book, it's gonna give it away, so you just have to read it yourself. And then my last three books are romance books. No particular order here, but Novel Love Story is my favorite Ashley Poston book. This was actually, I believe, the first book I read this year. I'm not a huge romantasy or fantasy type, but I love how her books have some sort of a fantasy element to them that I can kind of get behind. Basically, she falls in love with a character from one of her favorite books and realizes maybe the book universe is more real than you think, but I thought it was super cute. Then we have Revolve by Bal Cabra, another hockey romance book. This was probably my favorite from that series. It's like with romance books, I feel like I'm gonna give the plot away if I talk about them, but look how cute. And then I think y'all knew where this was going. We have Heated Rivalry. I've been watching the show and I think they've done a fantastic job with the show. I have not read The Long Game yet because it was sold out when I bought it, so it should be here. in the next couple weeks, maybe, hopefully. But I think the casting was amazing for the TV show. I think the direction's amazing, the writing's amazing. And the book is so cute. Like, I think, honestly, this is gonna sound terrible. I think the show is better than the book, but obviously the show would be nowhere without the book. So I highly recommend it. It's so cute. It is so cute. And which I find really funny is a lot of things that I've written for the second book in my series are kind of similar to things that happen in this book. But I did not read this book until less than a month ago. And I started working on book 2 of the indie hockey series a year ago. So yeah, but this is super cute. I cannot wait to read The Long Game. I have read Game Changers, not one of my favorites, but I do like Scott and Kit. But anyways, those are my favorite books I read in 2025. I hope 2026 is a good year for reading. 2025 started out not so promising because I had my first full-time job and it was really hard for me to read. I had only read maybe 40 or 50 books by like June, and I was like, oh, we're not gonna get to 100 this year. And I think I read 102 books, so I'll take that as a win.